Welcome to this tutorial about funding undergraduate research and scholarly work. My name is Cindy Scharschmidt, and I'm the Director of Student Fellowships and Study Abroad at the University of Washington, Tacoma. Please have either a pen and paper or a computer ready so that you can take notes during this video. Here's what we'll cover today. I will briefly explain what fellowships are. And then for those of you who are not yet involved in any kind of research, I'll share a few examples of what other UW-Tacoma students have done. And I will also highlight some ideas for how to find opportunities for undergraduate research. I'll then give examples for fellowships that fund undergraduate research, and we'll talk about how to apply and some resources that are available for the application process. Before we delve too deeply into the material for today, I want you to take a moment and reflect on the question up here on this screen. What is the most interesting class that you've taken at UW-Tacoma so far? And what about it was interesting? Please be sure to pause the video and resume it when you're done reflecting on this question. Okay, so what are fellowships? They're prestigious, merit-based, and competitive scholarships that fund a variety of different opportunities. And I've grouped them into 4 different categories. The first one is undergraduate research and scholarly work, and that's what we'll talk about today. The second group are international opportunities. There are lots of fellowships out there that fund study abroad, language study, teaching English abroad, maybe even graduate school abroad. There are also fellowships that fund students who aspire to be activists or who plan to pursue careers in public service. And finally, there's funding for graduate school for the most outstanding students who show great potential in their field of interest. Like I said, we'll only talk about fellowships for undergraduate research and scholarly work today. Please refer to the Student Fellowships YouTube channel for additional videos about the other kinds of fellowships listed here. As promised, here are a few examples of undergraduate research and scholarly work at UW-Tacoma. This is Autumn Diaz, who was a psychology student here at UW-Tacoma. Autumn studied caregivers' ethnic racial socialization practices. She was interested in the caregiver's level of critical consciousness, racial attitudes, and what's called universality and diversity orientation. This is Josiah Pollock, a history major at UW-Tacoma. And with the support of the Mary Gates Research Scholarship, he was able to travel to the British Columbia Provincial Archives to search for journals about Fort Nisqually, the first non-native settlement in the Puget Sound. The journals were taken to Victoria in 1865 and subsequently misplaced, and he was hoping to uncover stories of early agriculture here on the shores of Puget Sound. His research mentor was Dr. Michael Kuchar. Omar Adam conducted research on Malcolm X in his legacy. He did so as part of a class he took at UW-Tacoma and then went on to present his findings at the Winter Showcase organized by our Office of Undergraduate Education. He also happened to be the recipient of a 2015 Rango Scholarship. Faith Ramos was a sustainable urban development student, and she did some undergraduate research while at UW-Tacoma, examining the correlation between urban forests and human health. And she tried to determine if what's called low street tree canopy coverage correlates to a higher than average percentage of air pollution, respiratory illnesses, and lower birth rates. Again, this is just a snapshot of UW-Tacoma students and the kinds of research projects they've worked on. This is by no means a comprehensive list, and when we talk about undergraduate research and scholarly work, we really mean a whole range of different ideas and projects. If what you have in mind isn't covered here, that doesn't mean it's not also research. If you don't already have a research mentor or project figured out, here are a few ideas of what to do. Look at faculty bios. Most of our faculty have a web presence on the UW-Tacoma website and that states their research interests. So read through them, it's a little tedious, and find a topic that aligns with your own interests. Go to your professor's office hours and learn more about the research they're working on. Most faculty hold weekly office hours and students underutilize them. I've heard from many faculty members that they're excited to receive visits from students who want to talk with them about their research or scholarly work. Attend talks and lectures in your department. Many units on campus offer special lectures or talks where faculty talk about their work in more depth than they can in a class. And of course, read your department newsletter and keep an eye out for calls for undergraduate researchers. Okay, so let's talk about actual funding opportunities for undergraduate research. The first one we'll talk about is the Mary Gates Research Scholarship. It provides funding for undergraduate research and scholarly work guided by UW faculty. So this is a UW fellowship. It provides up to $5,000 over 2 quarters, and it's open to all undergraduate students regardless of their citizenship status. You must at least be in the planning stages of your research by the time that you apply, but your research doesn't have to be fully underway yet. Once awarded, of course, you'll have to conduct your research and will also need to present at the annual Undergraduate Research Symposium at UW Seattle. The Mary Gates has 2 deadlines, one in early fall and one in winter quarter. Here's another question for you. If you could write a research paper of your choice, what would it be about? Again, make sure you pause the video and resume it once you're done reflecting on this question. And in case you're wondering why I'm asking these questions throughout the video, keep in mind that these are the kinds of questions that you may be asked to answer when you apply for funding to do research of some kind. It also can help generate ideas for a research project that might jazz you, and that's why I've included them here in this video. All right, so next up are the National Science Foundation Research Experiences for Undergraduates, or REUs. These are 2 to 3 months summer research experiences in science, technology, engineering, and math, or STEM fields. And they take place at universities all over the United States and in some international locations. They're fully funded, meaning that room and board is typically provided along with a travel stipend to get you to the REU site and back. You also receive a stipend. The details will vary by site, and the deadlines tend to be in winter and very early in the spring. NSF REUs are a great way to gain research experience at a different university. You typically work on a pre-designed research project along with other undergraduate students from all over the U.S. and under the supervision of a graduate student, a postdoc, or a faculty member. If you're at all thinking about graduate school, think about applying for an REU at that school. That way you get to visit for an extended period of time and get a feel for the campus. This is the NSF REU website, and as you can see, you can look for research sites by academic discipline. All right, these are the National Institutes of Health summer internship opportunities, and these are, again, funded summer research opportunities that are usually 8 to 10 weeks long. By the way, the National Institutes of Health, or NIH, is part of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and is the nation's medical research agency. The summer programs include research in biomedical, behavioral, and social science fields. Participants receive a stipend of at least $2,000. The exact amount depends on the level of your education, and applications are typically accepted between November and March. Please be sure to follow the application advice available on the NIH website to give yourself the best possible chance of being selected for this highly competitive opportunity. All right, next up, we're going to talk about the DAD Rise or DAD Rise Pro. The DAD Rise is a research opportunity in Germany. DAD is the German acronym for German Academic Exchange Service, and RISE stands for Research Internships in Science and Engineering. These are 2 to 3 months research STEM internships with German doctoral students if you're an undergraduate student. If you apply as a graduate student, you would actually be interning at companies based in Germany, again doing STEM research. The working language in these internships is typically English, so there's no requirement that you know German, although it's helpful to learn at least a few phrases for anything that you do outside of the research lab. You will receive a stipend, health insurance, and a travel allowance from the DAD. And once applications are open, you pick up to 3 internships from the DAD Rise database. The deadline is typically in December. Here is the website for the DAD Rise that it contains a lot more information about the program, including advice for how to apply. All right, so if none of the fellowships that I discussed so far seem like they're interesting to you, or if you would like to know about additional opportunities, I would like to recommend the following resources. The University of Washington on the Seattle campus has an undergraduate research program, and they have a wealth of information about undergraduate research both at the UW and outside of the UW. If you're interested, take a look. I especially recommend the 2 sections that talk about summer research opportunities beyond the UW, many of them paid opportunities. And there's also a section dedicated to conference travel awards that fund students who are presenting their research at conferences. The Oak Ridge Institute for Science and Engineering also has a database. This lists internship programs for undergraduate students at national laboratories and other federal research facilities across the United States. And then there's the Pathways to Science database. This includes summer research experiences for undergraduates as well as paid internships and scholarships. And then finally, the STEM Undergraduates Science.gov website includes federal STEM-focused opportunities for undergraduate students. All right, so what's typically included in the application? This will vary by program, but often or typically there's some kind of online application form that asks for information you would typically include in a CV or resume. Typically, you also write at least 1 application essay, and most often than not, that's a statement of purpose of some kind in which you explain what it is that you're hoping to do with the support of the fellowship. In many cases, that will be talking about the research that you're hoping to do. Many of these require a letter or letters of recommendation. Make sure you check the exact number with the opportunity that you're applying for. And you often also have to submit transcripts. Double check if the opportunity requires official transcripts or if unofficial ones will do at the time of application. Now, I recommend that you start the application process well in advance of the deadline, if possible. I know that sometimes you find out about the perfect opportunity just a few weeks before the deadline, and in some cases, that can still work. But remember that these are competitive fellowships that require time and revisions in order to be competitive. I also want to recognize that applications to these kinds of programs can be an intense experience. I know that you're doing this work on top of all of your other responsibilities, including school, work, and family. Make sure that you assemble a support team that can cheer you on during the application process, and let me be part of that support team. Here's the support that's available through our office. I can meet one-on-one with you to discuss your plans and to talk about your research ideas in more detail. I can also review essay drafts and provide feedback, so make sure you send drafts my way when you're ready. I can help you strategize who and how to ask for letters of recommendation. We also offer personal statement and other essay writing workshops check out the schedule at tacoma.uw.edu/scholar. And for those fellowships that require them, we organize campus interviews and the nomination process. This concludes today's tutorial. Here's contact information for the Student Fellowships Unit within the Office of Global Affairs. You can find us in GWP 102. Email us at tscholar@uw.edu. Our website I already mentioned, and we are also on Facebook, Twitter, and of course on YouTube. Thank you.